tortured, burned, and sexually abused, all before they even became teenagers. And they say the man who did it was their Colorado-based gymnastics coach.
For On Your Side investigator Brian Moss tracked down the women who told their horrifying stories together for the first time. Brian joins us now tonight.
These women say that people really need to know about this particular gymnastics coach because he has moved to Colorado and is looking for young girls to train.
What he did was so wrong. Well, I've been waiting, I think, decades for this day to come and get the chance to speak up.
They were aspiring Olympians, wispy preteens who wanted to be champions. They were what was known as the Flares gymnastics team, Los Angeles-based and coached in the 1970s and 80s by a renowned champion, a dashing dream maker from Colorado named Doug Boger.
He can be a charmer, and he can draw you in a heartbeat.
Now, more than 30 years later, the Flares gymnasts reunited as part of a CBS4 investigation, revealing the secrets behind those smiles. The dark world of fear, pain, and compliance, they say, was orchestrated by Boger. Anyone who feels they were abused physically or sexually by Doug Boger, raise your hands.
He burned me with a cigarette one time. I know he's done it to other people too. But it was intentional and in a rage.
Amy Moran started training with Boger when she was 9 years old. He put a cigarette into your skin?
Yeah, in my arm.
These 8 former Flares say abuse was as routine as practice.
Him burning a girl with a cigarette, and it was not an accident. I remember him taking a cigarette to her body.
That was mild compared to what came next.
And the groundwork was tickling. The groundwork was laying down on the mats and rolling.
Ann Malver, now 51, was one of Boger's star gymnasts.
He molested me sexually multiple times.
You say he was having sex with you when you were between 11 and 14 years old?
That's correct. Forcing himself inside of me. Even though the pain was there, and even though I was crying out for him to stop.
You're basically describing being raped repeatedly.
Correct.
By your gym coach.
Absolutely.
That was a big deal.
Charmaine Carnes was 11 or 12 when she says Boger crossed the line.
He would lay me down, and that's when, we would have intercourse.
How could your parents not know?
There's a great ability for parents to have denial.
Carnes says her parents were dazzled by Boger's charm.
I've never heard everyone's story.
Denise Gallion reached national gymnastics prominence under Boger. How old were you when he started having sex with you?
13.
He had sexual intercourse with you when you were 13?
Right.
Was it just one time, or was it?
No, it was that time and a time in another apartment and a time in Catalina and a time in Hawaii. I mean, it was like a relationship.
There were whispers about Boger's relationships with students.
Wouldn't do what they do.
Whispers that eventually reached Richard Reardon, whose daughter Kathy was a Flares gymnast. She says she caught Boger during a gymnastics road trip.
And I saw him in bed with a fellow teammate, and they both jumped out of bed naked.
Reardon, who would go on to become mayor of Los Angeles, confronted Boger.
I kept telling him, I said, I don't believe you 1 inch. I don't care what you're going to say, you get the hell out of here.
Reardon contacted other parents and prosecutors.
And the prosecutors didn't know how to handle the cases. They couldn't see how they could get a child to be a responsible witness. I called a couple of other parents, and they were saying, well, thanks for the warning, but we'll make sure a child doesn't get involved in that. But they still let their child go to his classes.
Whatever happened here in Los Angeles stayed in Los Angeles for decades, until the women learned that Doug Boger was again coaching kids gymnastics in Colorado. They created a Facebook page to spread the word about Boger, and they finally began sharing their experiences.
Why did they wait so long? I can't give you that answer. I don't know why we all waited so long.
As my daughter came to be the age that I was when Doug was hurting me, I look at her and I think how could anyone do this to somebody, anybody?
And loving kindness matters.
Oh, yeah.
It matters, and it's the most important thing.
And we're not alone.
Which is why the gymnasts flew in from multiple states to tell their stories.
Basically, they say
Because Doug Boger is in Colorado, again trying to coach kids.
that's what I am. I'm a gymnastic coach.
Boger, now 63 years old, looks nothing like his younger days. And in his first media interview, he said every story is false.
But I was not abusive to him. I didn't do anything wrong. The sexual thing's absolutely is fabricated.
Did you ever have sexual intercourse with any of these underage girls?
Absolutely ridiculous.
All these girls are lying
Yes,
about everything.
about everything. These kids all got together and kind of fabricated this.
Boger says his innocence is underscored by a legion of gymnasts and parents who have written supportive blog comments, and the fact he was tried in 1982 and acquitted on charges of physically abusing students.
I do not abuse them. I do not have sex with them.
But these women did not testify at that trial, and the sexual abuse accusations have never been investigated.
I simply came out to protect the gymnast, the little girl somewhere out there that we don't know, that we want to protect. That's why we're doing this.
It's time that he knows that he can't just walk around and pretend he didn't do anything.
The team is back together, no longer looking for gymnastics gold, but now hoping for results of a different kind.
My innocence was shattered. It was taken away.
And he stole our dreams.
The women say their lives have been terribly damaged by their experiences with Doug Boger. As for Boger, he's actively trying to get back into the coaching business. Now, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about why all this may not lead to any criminal charges at all, and what parents can look for in coaches taking care of their kids.
After all these years, the women still find strength in each other. It's remarkable.
And a lot of them just hadn't heard each other's stories. They looked at each other and said, I didn't know that. Oh, boy.
Thanks, Brian. See you tomorrow.